Deputy Sullivan.
Yeah, thank you very much for the report today and for the other times that you've come into the committee with very comprehensive reports on what has been happening during Ireland's presidency particularly. Just one question in relation to Syria, and it is really like, how many more people have to die? And how many more people have to leave Syria into refugee camps where there are massive problems, as the committee found out when they visited one of those camps, and where they're causing enormous strain on the countries where they are situated, before some real action is taken. And it's all very well to talk about unanimity, and it's all very well to talk about a political solution, but it's becoming, I think, increasingly obvious that it's going to be a military solution that will bring it to an end. And we know who has the superior military arms in that particular situation. And just the question is in relation to, what is being said in relation to the chemical weapons being used, in relation to Scud missiles being used. And there's no doubt, but as it continues, there will be further radicalisation of certain elements within the opposition. So who's talking to Mr. Assad and who's trying to work with him on a political solution? Or is the only people he's listening to the Russians and the Iranians? And if, as could happen, that there will be a military solution in his favour, is there discussion on what's going to happen to the population in Syria if he does win in another while? Because I think there are massive issues there in relation to the Syrian population. So that would be one. Quickly on Hezbollah, what's Ireland's view on the designation of the military wing as a terrorist organisation? When you brought the conference here on climate change to your counterparts, I was wondering what their view was on our support for the reduction to 5%. I was wondering if that view is shared across Europe. And on Burma, I note from what you were saying that you're positive about the long-awaited transformation, you're encouraged about progress towards democratisation, but there is a genocide going on in Burma at the moment in relation to the Rohingya people. I've had questions in with you, but the answers are, they're not getting, I think, to the truth of it, and there are serious abuses of their human rights in terms of marriages, in terms of children, and in terms of them literally being murdered by the authorities, and a blind eye being turned towards us.
Okay, thanks very much indeed, Deputy Sullivan.
Deputy O'Sullivan, on Syria. The situation in Syria is, there are no superlatives left to describe the horror of the situation in Syria. Where you look at the number of people, almost 100,000 people that we know of, who have been killed, the extent of the displacement, and what can be done. One is the international community responds as one. It has not been able to respond as one, and it has not been able to respond as one because of the exercise of the veto, in particular by two countries at the Security Council. Now, the point that you make about, well, we're witnessing this slaughter, and for how many more people, must be killed before some intervention action is taken. That was the rationale, that was the argument that we had at the Foreign Affairs Council in respect of the issue of the renewal of the arms embargo. Some member states argue and have argued that in a set of circumstances where the authorities in Syria, where the Assad regime has available to it a huge amount of weaponry, that the answer to that is to equip the opposition forces. Part of the difficulty, there are a number of difficulties with that. The first is that you're increasing the militarization of the situation on the ground. You don't have control over where those weapons are going to end up. There is a very fractured nature to the opposition. I know the Syrian National Coalition is together, and that really, by increasing the amount of arms in the situation, you're increasing all of the potential for a massive civil war, which could go on for a very long time and has huge implications for destabilisation of the region. And that is why we have, as a country, we would have wished to have seen the arms embargo continued. I think that's well known. Very much regret that it wasn't possible to get unanimity on it. Right now, where are we? The only show in town in terms of getting some progress in Syria is the Geneva II, and the That has the advantage, as I said, that both the United States and Russia are engaged in that. On Hezbollah, the issue has been extensively discussed at official level in Brussels in recent months. To date, no agreement has been possible, despite extensive efforts in the relevant working groups which Ireland chaired during our EU presidency. A number of countries, including Ireland, have expressed concerns about the potentially destabilising impact of designation, but there are also concerns about other impacts. Discussions are continuing in advance of the Foreign Affairs Council next Monday, with the view to reaching a compromise on this difficult issue, and we're engaging constructively in those efforts in order to reach an agreed EU position. I've noted the point that Deputy O'Sullivan has made in relation to Burma and Myanmar. As I said, we've recently had it was during the visit of Aung San Suu Kyi that we agreed here to renew our diplomatic relations with, or to activate our diplomatic relations with Myanmar, Burma. We have the ambassador in Vietnam is now designated to be also ambassador in Myanmar, Burma, and we had a scoping mission of officials from my department in Myanmar, Burma a couple of weeks ago, and we're currently considering their report.
Thank you very much.